I said, what's happening? All right, all right. So I think we're ready to get started. And first, I want to thank you all for taking some time out of your evening to come and speak with me. I hope that we can have a dialogue here, and I'm not just standing before you speaking to you, but if that's what it turns into, I'm perfectly fine with that as well. So my name is Sean Ward. I'm a 1983 graduate of Shaw High School. Family came to East Cleveland. It's 1972. My man was a freshman my senior year. I remember him and his crew of boys very well. We liked those guys. They reminded us of us. So I've been involved in East Cleveland ever since I came back from college. I graduated from Baldwin Wallace, but I also went to Fort Valley State College in Fort Valley, Georgia. Um, Got a degree in computer information systems. I've been an IT person for the last 30 years. An IT project manager by trade. Um, and also I opened or I founded the East Cleveland Growth Association back in 2018 with the goal of, trying to help solidify the tax base here in the city and help bring business and new development into the city. I'm still working on that project. I'm waiting to hear back on a $350,000 grant that I've applied for to expand the Coit Road Farmers Market. But now I've kind of changed my focus for the moment, and I'm running for mayor, as you all may know, because you're out here today. And part of what made me want to be the mayor is just what this city did for me growing up. As I said, I'm an 83 graduate of Shaw. My family came to East Cleveland in 1972. And, East Cleveland and the school district exposed me to a lot of things. I was in a lot of the smart kid programs and, went around to different colleges, universities, got exposed to a lot of different careers in the sciences and technology. And I took that knowledge, that information that I was exposed to, and I parlayed that into a college education, college degree, and a 30-year career in information systems. But all the while that I was doing that, East Cleveland was never out of my sight. I coached youth football for 18 years, about 6 of those years with the East Cleveland, no, 4 or 5 of those years with the East Cleveland Chiefs and Shaw High School. Um, I ran a youth program here in East Cleveland in conjunction with the school district called the Career Awareness Program of the Sciences. So I exposed the youth at Shaw to the same thing I was exposed to, careers in science and technology. And for the junior high kids, we took them on museum tours and again exposed them to different options in science and technology, mathematics, because those were the things that we were focused on. But a lot of people think about mathematics and what those things mean to you, but really the purpose of mathematics is to teach you how to think. And that's the thing that I got most from the things that I learned from East Cleveland. It's how to think, how to formulate new ideas, and how to bring structure. And that's also what I do on a daily basis as a project manager. And I want to bring that kind of structure, that kind of thoughtfulness back to East Cleveland. Uh, I have an image of what East Cleveland was from what it was when I grew up, right? But there's no going back to that. I mean, the world was different, the times were different. But we shouldn't want to go back, right? We should want to go forward. We should want to take advantage of the things that the world offers us now. Take advantage of technologies, take advantage of new developments, take advantage of the internet, take advantage of all the access to information that we have. Our people need to be online. Our people need to be exposed. We've got a great big population here, for the city this size, but we've got a great number of our people who don't get a chance to take advantage of some of the things that are available to them simply because they're not online or they don't have a solid address or a multitude of things, right? So we've got to bring stability to the community. We've got to make the community attractive to people. And then we've got to give them a reason to stay here once they get here. And so there are 3 things that draw people to a community. One is the housing market, the other is jobs, and then the third is the school district. And all of those things depend on each other, right? If a young family is looking to relocate or to build their life somewhere, and they're looking to have children, or they already have children, they're going to pay attention to two things. They're going to pay attention to schools and housing. If somebody's starting a new career and they want to find a city that they can live in, cost of living is low, convenient, close to their jobs, they're going to look for a city that has apartments, maybe some amenities, and maybe some conveniences like fast food restaurants and things like that, right? Those are the kind of things that draw those people, young people, students, doctors in residency. And all that is right next to us. All that's happening just a few blocks down through University Circle and 105 area. You got the University Hospitals, you got Case Western Reserve, you got Cleveland Clinic. And those institutions have people recycling through their doors every year. So every year, people are looking for a place to stay. People are looking for a place to work. People are looking for convenience. We're a straight shot to all of that. We got the end of the rapid line, but we don't take advantage of our assets. And we've got to be a welcoming community. People have to be feel comfortable here. They have to feel safe here. But the real key is once you get them here, is to give them a reason to stay here. Because if all they do is live here, that's fine. But we're missing out on other opportunities. Missing out on taxes. We're missing out on revenue to businesses. And so you give a person a reason to get here, and then you give them a reason to stay here. So if you got people coming here because they want to work, then you give them things to do after work, right? If they want to go out to lunch, but they can't go anywhere here, and let's say they only have, 30 minutes, an hour, where can they go? They got to go way out somewhere. So they're more inclined to stay in, brown bag. But if we get them someplace to eat, someplace to have lunch, someplace to sit down, someplace to pick something up real quick, then they would stay here for lunch. And those dollars will start to circulate through the city. So now we got them coming here for work. We got to stand at lunch. But what if they have something to do after work? They're going to pick up and they're going to leave our community again. And whatever they have to do after work, going to take those dollars with them. So how do we stop that? We find out what they do after work and we give them that. Do they like to go have a drink at happy hour? Do they like to shop? Do they like to see a play? Live entertainment. We got a theater in the library. We got another theater right across the street. And a few blocks down, guess what we also have? Playhouse Square. Why can't we have a little Playhouse Square right here? That then translates into the bigger house square down there. Again, taking advantage of our assets. And then once you get them here in the evenings, then guess what? Now they want to live here because everything they do is here. And now, instead of a dollar circulating through our city half of a time, you got dollars circulating through our city 3, 4, 5 times. And those are the things that we need to do to start bringing our city back. It's not about the infighting. It's not about the discourse between individuals. It's not about personal feelings or anything like that. It's about planning and executing and taking advantage of what we have. And we have a lot. But that's my take on things, right? One of the reasons that I'm out here is because I want to know what you want. One of the things I talk about real often, very often, when I'm speaking to people, is about equity versus equality. I was I live on Glen, and I was speaking to one of my neighbors, and the neighbor said, if you can figure out, if you can tell me how you can fix the streets, you got my vote. If you can't tell me that, I'm walking. I said, well, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to walk because I can't tell you that, and I would be lying to you if I did. Right? We can figure out some ways to get that together, but I can't just say to you, I'm gonna fix the streets. I don't know what goes into fixing the streets. But what I would suggest, for instance, is if we allow people to come in here and do development, let's make part of that development contract fixing part of the road in front of the development. Piece it together. Next time somebody else comes through, do the same thing with them. Whenever utility work is being done, which is I think what's going on Hayden, that's a perfect opportunity to take advantage of some work that's already being done. Well, it's already being torn up. Take the advantage to fix it up. Euclid Avenue. I don't know what to say about Euclid Avenue because there's no way it should be looking like that after 2 or 3 years. So the first thing I would be doing is looking for somebody to give me some money back or some free rework. Because for a brand new paved road to look like that after just a couple years, it's crazy. Somebody had to be responsible. And then right at the corner of Lee and Euclid, they have a crosswalk on the wrong side of the street. How dense do you have to be to approve designs of a crosswalk on the wrong side of the street? And how long does it take you to change that? What you've done is you've created a traffic hazard because now the turning lane is closed off, so they have to stop in an active traffic lane to make a left turn. So, that may seem like a little thing, but that's a big thing. That's a big thing that never should have happened because somebody should have been reviewing some plans. I just read today about the developer for Circle East and all the problems this cat is having. He was being sued in another state, and the land bank knew it and still went into contracts with that group. And all these years later, the purchase still not through. And now the guy is saying, oh, it'll be through by the end of the month. But how many ends of the month have there been? We have to have partnerships that are not only strategic, but beneficial to us. And when we let people come into our city and do whatever they want because they're doing something, and we just kind of stand back and say, oh, yeah, you're doing something, go ahead, have at it. We're not doing ourselves any good. Nobody can tell you in City Hall what the schedule is for this road project down. Hey, you know why? Because they don't know. Because somebody said, we'll get it done in this amount of time. And they said, okay. That's not how you run a project, especially on a project that big. But my point was about equity and equality. The guy talked about getting the streets fixed. But that's important to him. Now, getting the streets fixed are probably important to somebody down on Hayden or down on Superior, but there are other things that are probably more important. There may be crime rate issues down there. There may be work issues down there. But one is not more important than the other. But it's about equity. Equity is giving people what they need, not what everybody else has. Everybody doesn't need what everybody else has. You give people what they need, then you're bringing them to a level of equality. And so that's why we have to focus on what's important to us. And that's why I want to hear from you. I want to know what's important to you. Does anybody have any comment? Anybody have anything they want to say?
I want to say something. I'm from Tennessee, Chattanooga, and if you ever ride down there, it's one of the cleanest places you've ever seen in your life. I think that the number one problem I see here is something that we can deal with that we haven't dealt with, and that's keeping grass cut. That's keeping this place cleaned up. You go to Amish country, you go to their city hall, it might be a tiny little bit of building somewhere. But that is the cleanest place you've ever seen in your lifetime. And most of those people never go past the seventh grade. We can do better.
And we should do
I
better.
spend a lot of time keeping land cleaned up. I spend money today having people clean. I probably spent about $10,000 taking care of different parts of the land, getting equipment and everything else, including working on the church over here. Because the church won't even trim down the hedges on the back side. All right? That's a problem. That's a problem. Because thieves get behind it. I threw squatters out from down here. 2 families. Just right over the hill. They know we don't patrol this land. They know that. They know the majority of the homeowners are older women, not men. They know that. One of the biggest problems you have. You go up and down these streets, there are streets I could show you where it's so overgrown, you can't find the house.
And I believe you.
Okay? And these are in wards where the ward person never even visit that area. Or an office. They never look at it. And they should spend a lot of time. Now this street up here, we cut a lot of trees down on it. A lot of, because we're on it. All right. You go in a lot of these neighborhoods, you're not gonna see that. Okay? But at the same time, how do you reward the people who do a lot? I do a lot. And I'm trying to buy some land. I can't even buy it.
So
Gotta take care of.
those are excellent points, right? And so you ask yourself, why is it that way, right? And part of the reason is exactly what you said. They know we're not policing it. They know that they got plenty of time to do whatever it is they're gonna do, because nobody's gonna come down anytime soon, if at all, right? And you talk about rewarding people who are taking care of these vacant lots, because we're good for tearing things down. We're not real good at taking building stuff back up. I think people who take care of the lots next to their homes should be given those lots. But you got to do something with it, right? I think that we should give them a certain amount of time and some assistance, right? You can't just say, here, do something with it. Give them some assistance to do something with it. What is that something with it with? I don't know. Build a garden there? Put a patio space there? I don't know. But what you can't do is just put up those wooden spikes and leave it that way, right? And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to go broke, but you should be rewarded if you clean things up. The other thing is, where are these contractors that are supposed to be cut? Because as I understand it, they're getting paid, but they're not cut. See, one of the things that I'm going to do is void every single contract that the city is currently in. And everybody is going to have to rebid. Because I don't know how old those contracts are. I don't know who knew who. And I don't know what the stipulations were inside the contract. So we're going to do it the right way. We're going to send out an RFP. We're going to have people respond. We're going to bring them in. They're going to do a demo. And we're going to pick the best person at the best rate. Because that's how corporate America does it. And if they don't do what their contract to do, we're going to sue them. Because that's how corporate America does it. I'm not giving a friend a contract because he's my friend. That's the wrong reason. That already says the wrong thing. We've had people in this community tearing down buildings who are not licensed to tear down buildings. We're paying people to cut grass, but grass is not cut. And so, we got to take some initiative like people do. And we do a great job of having cleanups, right? I think these two ladies just sponsored a cleanup and they did an excellent job. I mean, beautiful. The place that the park down on Hastings, I believe it was, right? I mean, it was atrocious. They got that thing cleaned up. Your kids can play there now. But now comes the hard part. That's keeping it clean. And so we have to make that our responsibility when it shouldn't be, right? It should be the responsibility of city services. But we don't have them. because we don't have the tax base to support them.
Oh,
And that's why we don't have them. Not because we don't need them, not because we can't get them. We don't have the tax base to support them. So we got to figure that out. Now, one of the things that we could have done was we could have gone into partnership with Metro Parks. That would have freed up some money. And the grass would have been cut. People could have played in the park again. And as part of the deal, we could have required that they pave from Beersford up into the park. They would have done it because they could get county, state, or federal money. You know why? Because they're the #1 park system in the nation for like 3 years running. Who's not going to get their money? But we come begging for money. First thing somebody going to say is, what you do with that last money we gave you? And then we're going to say, I don't know. And then they're going to say, oh, we can't give you nothing. Because that's what keeps happening. You're supposed to get a fire truck, right? We need a fire truck. Just sprout and stuff, right? But we still know where the fire truck is, right? So we gotta talk about that, and we gotta talk about this recycling of people, right? When we change mayors, that's all we change. How do you progress from that? How do you progress from that? If I go into City Hall and I don't know nothing, I don't know anything about running the city, and I'm going to depend on my team to teach me, right? And if my team is the same team that's already been there, what am I going to learn? Not the right stuff. So why would I keep them there? I don't blame the workers. The workers are doing what their management tells them to. I blame management. They're gone. They can reapply, but they're gone. Why would I keep somebody else's team for my team? That's ridiculous. So they're gone. We talk about police chiefs, right? There's a stipulation in their stipulations in the charter that limit our ability to search outside the city. Police chiefs has to come up through the ranks. Now I've heard great things about this cat that's in the position now. I don't know him, so I can't speak one way or the other. But we certainly need to be able to open our searches up nationwide. Because if you're a high-ranking official in the East Cleveland Police Force and you tell me you didn't know anything about what was going on, then you're stupid. Or you're blind in one eye and you lost the sight in the other. Because how are you a high-ranking official and all that stuff's happening up under you and you're not paying attention to it? Either you're stupid and you're not qualified, or you're part of it. Either way, you need to go. Again, these aren't comments towards that new cat. I don't know it. But I'm just saying, conceptually, everybody that we've replaced since those dominoes started to fall have had some dirt, some stuff in the closet that came out. That makes us look bad. And that also then makes the citizenry feel unsafe. You go through other neighborhoods, you see police cars in the driveways in the evenings because they encourage their police officers to take their cars home. If we let police officers take their cars home, guess where they would be? I don't know, but not in East Cleveland because they don't live here. There are few people that work for our city that live in our city. So what is their incentive? They have none. A paycheck every other Friday. That's their incentive. And they take that money and they leave and they spend it somewhere else.
just touched on something that I really ready to sit back, but I don't think that's just something you do. I think that would probably go through a whole lot of rigmarole because I always say for the city to come back, I believe it needs to be an owner occupied community with like police living here, working here, teachers living here, working here, because we need that tax dollar. I mean, I feel, I mean, I'm just big on, I don't care if we got $1 billion grant, we still would be able to make it. Because once the money's gone, how do you maintain? Like, because we don't have a tax dollar.
Right.
We don't have the jobs. We don't have the person that works and making electric living in East Cleveland so we can tax them. So how do we, like, what's your vision and making, I mean, I just feel that it takes something. It's going to take a tax dollar.
What you just said, though, we used to be that.
Yeah. But how do you get that back?
By working with council and passing legislation, right? It's really that basic. Our whole charter needs a rewrite, right? It needs a rewrite. And the first thing we need to do, and I'll get to you in just a second, we need to put a committee of citizens together and let them rewrite it. Bring it back to us, to my administration. Y'all catch that? My administration? Y'all got that? Bring it back to my administration and let's work on it until we can all live with it. And then we present it to council. They vote on it. They want some changes. We negotiate. We compromise. We agree on the changes. We submit it again. They pass it. We got what we want. That's how government works. That's how our government should work. But it doesn't. And I'm going to tell you another thing. You will never, never have a successful government if the majority of council wants to be the mayor.
I'm just gonna say, how you gonna make it? You ain't got nothing covered if you ain't got council.
Because in those instances, every failure of the mayor is ammunition for the council member that wants to run. So where is council members' incentive to pass my bill? Like he was just saying, right? Where's their incentive to pass my bill if they want me to fail because they want to be the mayor? Tell you another thing, right? This may be a well-kept secret, but I'm gonna tell y'all. Being on council does not prepare you to be the mayor. All right? They're two totally different things. So anybody that thinks that it's best if you serve on council first, you're setting us up for fail. That's so one or the other. Look at council jockeys. Look at how they move. Whenever council thinks something gonna happen to the mayor, what happens? You get a new council president. Tell me I'm wrong. The person who wants that mayor's seat. They don't want to earn it. They want county to give it to them, or they want the charter to give it to them. I want y'all to give it to me. What are you gonna say?
What I was gonna say is this: when I spent 22 years in the military, and I was over a lot of people. And one of the things about the military, I like saying about having your own staff. But you also, if you got workers or community people out here who do a lot and spend a lot of money taking care of this place, you want them as close to you as possible. They're like soldiers. The ones who are loyal, you got to fight, they're going to be there. You don't want them to have a hard time just to talk to you when you up there in the office.
Nobody would have a hard time talking to me, first of all. Because what I'm going to do is institute what's called office hours.
You have to build a team with them.
But here's the thing: you don't build a team of soldiers. You build a bunch of militias. You know why? Because militias can earn their own money. And so what? And I held a seminar on this at the library a couple months ago around how how streets can organize and then go after dollars. There's a woman that lives on Hayden. On Roselle, who organized her street, formed a 501c3, and bought street lamps like that one right there for every house on the street. And that's what the administration should do. We should support your organizations. When you say you want to go after money as a street club, then I'm going to say, yeah, I support that. And I'm going to sign whatever I can sign to make sure you get your money. And then you're going to do stuff that you want to see happen to your street. And then I'm going to do stuff that needs to happen from my level. And together, we accomplish what we need to accomplish. And these things don't have to run linearly. They can run in parallel. We don't have to do this first, then do that first, next, and then do that afterwards. We identify what things can run in parallel, and you run them in parallel. They'll be separate teams. The teams that in charge of, keeping these lawns maintained and all that stuff is not going to be the same team that's going to be looking at road conditions or looking at sewers or stuff like that, right? And it's not going to be the same team that's doing the financial audit to see what's been going on in City Hall. These will be separate entities. And so we can accomplish things. We don't have to wait. We just have to have a plan. We have to have a person who can execute the plan. And I'm telling you, you listen. The reason that I released my platform in February was because I knew people were going to steal it. I don't care what anybody says. I guarantee you're going to be able to look on my website and find where I said it first. And I'm not saying that to say anything disparaging against them. What I'm saying to you is, I have a plan. Imitation is the best form of flattery. So I'm flattered because they think I have a plan too, because they're going to try to recite it to you. But there's when I was in college, there's a guy in the NFL. I'm not going to say his name. He played for the Steelers. But I'm not going to say his name. But he lived next door to me, and his wife was in class with me, in computer class with me. And so one day, I missed class, and she went in and stole my work and tried to turn it in, right? But the professor knew how I coded, right? It's like writing a story. You're not gonna, 2 + 2 is 4, right? But if you're writing a narrative, it's not going to be the same. It's the same with programming. If anybody knows programming, right? It's how you think. It's your logic, right? So I didn't even have to say anything. He knew that was my work. So what he asked her was, it's like when you're in math class and she said, "Show your work." He asked her, how did she think through this problem? And she couldn't explain it. And so that's why you don't worry about people stealing your stuff, because they can't explain it. They can do it. I talked about having a call center in City Hall, and I saw a post number, and I had somebody call that number and nobody answered. So, I mean, what does that say, right? It looked good on paper, but is that really what's happening? Because you have to plan call centers. You don't just get a phone line and say, "I got a call center." The phone line is the easiest part of a call center. It's the person that's answering the phone that's the key, because they got to give you information. If you call a call center and they send you to another department, guess what that is? That's a receptionist. That's not a call center. So, we got to operate more efficiently, more effectively. And again, the way to do that is to, address things where they are, right? There are many facets to running a city, right? The first thing is the internal operations of the city, right? The stuff that goes on day by day, like any business, right? How do people clock in to make sure they're not stealing time? What's your payroll system? What's your accounting system? How many banks do you have accounts at? Can you look at any moment and see how much money you have and where it is? No business that is functioning in America is not going to be able to do those things. Even a business that makes money in spite of itself will still know where their money is. This mayor announced 3 months after she was in office, no, not this mayor, the previous interim mayor announced 3 months after she was in office, "I finally know where all the money is." 3 months? 90 days to That should have been the first thing he did. So, again, nothing against her, but the process wasn't right. It shouldn't take you 90 days to figure out where your money is and how it's being spent. That's the first thing I'm going to do. So, you got to get the operations together, the internal operations. I started to talk about office hours. I'm going to make myself available at least once or twice a day in the morning and in the afternoon where you can just come in off the street or make an appointment and talk one-on-one or in small groups. But as you were saying, I have to be accessible. And people have to feel like they can talk to me and they're going to get some results. There's going to be an outcome. And it's going to be open and honest dialogue. And if I can't do it, I'm going to tell you I can't do it. If I need to do something else before I can do it, I'm going to tell you that. And if I can do it, I will. So, that's got to be the first thing that happens. And then the next thing is the administration of the city. Because that's what the mayor does, right? The council sets the law, sets the standard, sets the foundation. And then the mayor's office makes sure that everybody is operating within those guidelines. And so you have to understand what the guidelines are to make sure people are operating within them. Everybody talks about, the charter, know the charter, know the charter. Have you seen our charter? It's really thin. That's not where the meat is. The meat is in the ordinances. That's what you need to know. That's where the decisions are. You can read the charter in 45 minutes, have a complete understanding of it. But that's not where the meat is. It's in the ordinances. Those are the specifics around how you behave. And so people are clamoring about charter. Okay, you're right, but what part of the charter, what ordinance supports, your position or your statement? So those things are important, right? And that's what the administration should be able to do. When you call a call center, somebody should be able to answer your question. It shouldn't send you to somebody else, right? And that's why you build the call center, because you staffed it with people who know what they're talking about. Otherwise, like I said, you just keep your receptionist and then move the calls to the particular department. And that's not wrong with that either, right? Except that somebody needs to answer the phone. If I'm gonna transfer you and nobody answers the phone, I've just defeated my purpose. And you didn't get what you needed, right? Equity again, right? You didn't get what you needed. So anything else? Any other questions, comments?
No, I'm gonna say something in regards to the seniors. What about they're talking about changing things around, but the seniors that been here the most, we seem to be thought about the least. Until it's time for election, and everybody go to the seniors because they know the seniors.
They know the seniors vote.
They know they vote. We vote, if nothing else. But what are we getting in return for this vote? Besides, once the election is over, we're forgotten.
What the seniors need is two things: peace and relief, right? We don't want our seniors to feel like they have to leave their houses because they can no longer function in them, right? We need to give them what they need to function. If they need handrails to function, we need to get them handrails. If they need a lift chair, we need to get them a lift chair. We need to make, a lot of these homes are old, they're 2-story homes and things like that, right? But we don't want to get rid of them. People don't want to get the homes out of their family legacies, right? But they need to be functional too. We're one of the poorest cities in the nation. You can't convince me that there's not money out there that we can get. We just don't go after it. I talk about this all the time when I'm speaking to people, and it's about the opportunity zones, right? All these opportunity zones all around us. But in East Cleveland, if you look at the opportunity zone map, you'll see overhead, you see all this red development, and then you see this big hole in the middle. The hole in the middle is East Cleveland, because we're not an opportunity zone. Do you know why we're not an opportunity zone? Anybody take a guess?
No, but I won't say.
No, because nobody applied.
Yeah.
No, they knew.
Got faithful.
No, you didn't. All you had to do was say, I want to be one.
They didn't do that.
They didn't even do that.
So even with that goes back to what I'm saying though. Yeah. Even if you get this grant and all like this, ain't nobody just gonna keep giving you money.
Yes, they will.
So you just
They will.
get sustain off just grant.
No. You don't even want to try to do that.
Oh.
But you need grants to start building back up the tax base, right? But people will keep giving you grants. The key is to spend the money, right? The only thing that stops people from giving you grants is if you didn't spend all the money the first time. Because now you're telling them that you ain't really need what you asked for. So if I ask for $500,000 and I spend $350,000 and I come back and ask you for $750,000, guess what they're giving me? Zero. They're giving me zero. Because I didn't do what I said I was going to do the first time. So that's what you do. And like we're eligible, we get grants every year. Our part of our city operations is based on grants that we get every year. We get our HUD money up front. We don't have to ask HUD for money. We get a big old lump sum that the government, the administration is supposed to determine how it's supposed to be spent. And it's supposed to be spent on projects that are supposed to benefit the city in some targeted area or some targeted area of need. But we end up giving a lot of money back. I have a reason why I believe we end up doing that, but I'm not going to speculate. But there's monies available to us. But if we're going to ask for money and we're going to look for ways to benefit from the money, then if we can't, then we're not going to ask for the money, right? Nonprofits are broke. They don't have no money because you have to show people where your money's going. If nonprofits got a bunch of money, then you need to worry about what they're doing. All right? The Cleveland Clinic is a nonprofit. So you see, they make a lot of money too. But I'm not saying they're doing anything crooked. but seriously though, it's really it's about integrity, right? It's about the integrity of the community. People don't want to give us money not because they don't know we need it, but because they're concerned with what we're going to do with it. And we control that narrative. Another thing I want to tell you, and some of you already may know this, but East Cleveland is not an all-black community. All right, y'all know that? There's white people that live here. And they're just as essential. And black dollars will not save East Cleveland. It just won't. As much as we want that to be, that's not going to be. And we shouldn't want it to be. We should be a welcoming community. Anybody who wants to come to this community and function within the guidelines that we set forth should be allowed to. And if they don't, then we got to get them out of here. There's a book, and I have it at home, and I don't remember when it was written, in the 20s or 40s or something. But it was written by the residents of East Cleveland. And the book is an outline of how people agreed to live in East Cleveland. And it covered things like keeping your lawn clean, keeping the front of your house clean, how you act outside, how your kids act. And although those concepts may be outdated today, the idea is not. And we gotta, change all of that, right? But it's got to change from the top. We need a mayor who understands organization, who understands how to manage change, who understands how to lead. But being a good leader also means that you have to know when it's your role to follow. Right? I don't want to fight with council. I want to work with council. And even if they want my job, that's cool, but let's get through this first. And then I'll beat you in the election, like Obama did, right? They got mad at Obama. He said, yeah, I know you mad because I keep winning. right? And that's what I plan to say one day, right? I know you mad because I keep winning.
Points from.
I don't even.
That's all. Did I mess it up all?
Yeah.
So you think you in office gonna be able to get anything to council? So do you think, because you got probably 3, 4 people on council right now that want to hear, so.
Except the great thing is, and I have to check again, no incumbent right now is running for council. Everybody's gonna be new. So there are 3 seats that are up, and they're gonna all be new people. I've met 2 of them. I know I can work with those 2 individuals. But to answer your question, that's gonna be about me and how I step to them, right? If I go in there trying to strong arm, talking about I'm the mayor, do what I say, nah, I'm not gonna get any cooperation. But if I go in there like a mayor and I say, council, this is what I want to do, this is why, this is how, they vote. If they say no and their reasons are legitimate, okay. If they say no, I disagree, I'll veto it. If they say yes, we move forward. But I won't operate outside of the confines of the role. Right? If the role says you can do this, I'll do it. If the role says you can't, I won't. I won't even try. Right? And so that's the way it's got to be. But I'll tell you, anything that I do, you'll know about it. So if council doesn't approve it, you'll know that too. And either you'll agree or disagree. And if you disagree, then I hope that you'll ask them why. Why'd you not approve that? Or why did you approve it and we didn't want it? Right? We can't have the same dysfunction that we have, and it can't spill over into our public persona, like our council meetings and stuff like that. If people get up to ask a question in a council meeting, they need to feel like their question is going to get answered to the best of that person's ability. That they're not going to be disrespected, that they're not going to be insulted, not going to be told to shut up or whatever. If the answer is, I don't know, that's a legitimate answer. Say it. I don't know, but I'll find out. And I'll get back to you at the next meeting. Or I'll email you. Or I'll post it somewhere. But I don't know is a legitimate answer. But I don't know and leaving it at I don't know, that's the problem. Right? That's the thing that's not legitimate. The mayor's not gonna know everything, and he shouldn't. If you have a mayor that tells you 1 or 2 things, well, okay, I'll step back a little bit. When I'm a project manager, I told you, and of course, in my career, I've had to hire people, and whenever I look at a project manager's resume, and there's a bunch of I's, I know that that's not the person I want, because a project manager doesn't do any work. So if your resume says I did, I don't trust you because you're not being truthful, because you ain't do nothing. Your team did it. The engineers did it. So if you say to me, I led a team, or I managed a team, or my team did, now you got all the credibility in the world, because that's what project managers do. So it's the same with this. I'm not going to be doing the work. The team is going to be doing the work. My job is to put together the right team. And then to admit quickly if I made a mistake and I got the wrong person. And then I need to get rid of them and bring the right person in. But I can't be afraid to fail. But if I'm going to fail, I want to fail early so I can recover. But it's going to be a communal thing, right? I need everybody's help. Not just in the doing, but even in the knowing what to do. So, like I started with this whole discussion, I need to know what's important to you, because what's important to you is not going to be important to everybody. And I can't assume equality. Again, equality gives everybody what everybody else already has. That's not what you need. If you need the same thing as somebody else, it should be totally coincidental. But what you need is what you need. And that's what I want to know. Seek equity. That gets you what you need. So, any more questions, comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
A long time resident of East Cleveland. I remember back when East Cleveland was really a place. Okay. I grew up on 124th and St. Clair. And I remember people would say, now don't go into East Cleveland if one of your headlights is on. Okay. Don't go into East Cleveland if this or that. And then I, you know, moved over here. Man, I've been here so long. I don't even know. But there's so many changes. East Cleveland has a horrible reputation. And they talk about the poorest city in the nation. Where was East Cleveland?
Fourth last time I looked.
And that's sad. But you know, I don't envy you and the role that you will take on. Will take.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, because it's like a ground up. All right, we don't have a tax base. We used to have Ringrose Hospital. Okay, we used to have GE. We used to have a lot of different, things for the tax base. We don't have one now.
No, and you're right.
I complain because I always say I'm paying taxes for other people that don't. All right.
And you are.
I know.
Absolutely.
I know when's the last time we had a mayor that wasn't corrupt? That's embarrassing.
Well, I will say this, all right. I'm not endorsing this cat, okay? But despite what happened, Brewer wasn't corrupt. All right.
Okay.
And I will say this, he knew the ordinances. Now his stuff was personal.
Yes, that was personal.
But he was not, I don't know what kind of man he was. I don't know the brother. But in his capacity as mayor, he functioned well. It was a scandal that kind of derailed him. Right.
Anytime you hear about all these policemen that got indicted for that.
Well, look.
I mean, I know. I'm
Yeah, but again, it's
like starting from the ground up.
but see, you don't have to look at it that way, right? You only start from the ground up if you're trying to get it back to where it was, right? That's not an option. That's not an option. What we can't do is allow police officers to start their career at our expense. So they come here. Look, every crime that you could imagine, they believe is going to happen here, right? So when they go here, they spend a couple years, 3 years here, then they go out to these other communities and they silking it, for the next 20, 30 years, moving up the ranks, right? Because they got that experience. And that go back to somebody was talking about residency requirements. That's why you do residency requirements for cops, right? But what happened was people started wanting their friends to get jobs, but their friends didn't want to move to East Cleveland. So what do? You relax the laws. And the next, by the time you pay attention again, we got open employment, right? Everybody in the city is from somewhere else.
So can you do that?
Yes.
What's the law?
No. I'm sure there are stipulations to it, right? So I'm not going to say that you can just blanketly say, but you can say stuff like you have 6 months from hire or 1 year from hire to move into the city or something like that. You can do those kinds of things. And we need to have people take ownership of the city. And then the other thing you do is look, these cops don't respect us. They don't. They're short timers. They're not going to be here for a long time. They don't care, and they think everybody's a criminal anyway. So yeah, they're going. And the problem is, it ain't just the white cops; it's the black cops too. The problem is blue. It's not black. It's not white. It's blue. That uniform seems to give them something that they don't have in regular life. The only time that you're tough is when you're in a cop uniform. You ain't tough. You're corrupt, and those people will be gone. All you have to do is report one time to me some kind of brutal event, and please don't let me see the body cam. You're done. You are done. So I may get into a fight with the union, but I don't care. You're not going to be policing the streets of East Cleveland, beating people, locking people up unjustly. The other thing we need to do, our city hall is an embarrassment. Our city hall should be right there. Should be right near. Because nobody trusts that we will spend the money right. And it's really just that simple. And we keep picking our mayor in popularity contests, or because they're just a little bit better than the other person or something like that. But that's not the reason. And that's why we stay in this position. Because the people that come in, they don't know what to do. All they can do is what somebody else did. And what is somebody else going to do? They're going to try to teach them how to do what they're already doing, because that's beneficial to everybody. I tell people the story when I started my nonprofit. The first project that we were going to do was we were going to redo the Civic Center. We were going to pick it up, flip it over to make the entrance on that side street, and then we're going to develop all those vacant lots into parking with meters. And we told the city, all we ask y'all to do is turn the meters off during events. But they wanted to be signers on our bank account. And we said no. And then 2-3 days later, every other organization that was part of the project pulled out. So we went on to something else. But see, those kind of things can't happen, right? If an organization, if a nonprofit or some legitimate group has a good project for East Cleveland, the government needs to support that, because that's going to help that nonprofit. But we got people in Euclid claiming to have projects that they're going to do in East Cleveland. They apply for money, and then you never see them. And we got to stop that. Because if I hear about you applying for a grant to do some work in East Cleveland and you get the money and you never come to East Cleveland, guess what? I'm reporting you to somebody. So, we gotta take some initiative on our own and control as much of our narrative as we can control. And so, those are the kind of things, when I talk about wanting to be the mayor, I hope that I don't sound like everybody else. I don't even know how they sound, because I don't even bother listening to them. Because I see what they're doing. And so that's why I'm coming to you. The people that vote, the people that will be impacted most by whatever decision we as a community make on September 9th and then again on November 4th. So I hope that I've made an impact. I don't know if I've changed your mind. I don't know if you made any decisions or not, but I hope that I've given you something to think about. I hope that you've listened to me and that I've made sense. And I hope that if you want to, talk to me again, you can, right? I make it available. People can call me on the phone. People can set up a Zoom meeting with me, because again, it's important for me to get to you.
Can we talk to you now?
Yeah, you can talk to me now. You can absolutely talk to me now. So, anybody have any more questions? I know it's 8:15, so I appreciate you all again.
Still trying to, I don't know if this tax law, right?
Well,
What's the goal to do? I mean, like, but I say this all the time. But Shirley said, I said, you can give me a house in Beverly Hills right now, and I guarantee you I'll lose it in 9 days. You know what I'm saying?
but why?
Can't maintain. So I'm
When you say, and I'm just asking a real question, when you say maintain it, do you mean pay for it or?
yeah, how to maintain the seat. Like even like you said, with the grants and all that's great. Okay, like I understand and I heard that several cases that we don't go for money. But once we go get it, how do we maintain?
So once you get it, you start to bring things that solidify the tax base, right? You start to do these immediate things that grow the tax base. But then what you need to do is stabilize it. And that's where the businesses come in and the housing come in and the retail stores come in, right? Once you start to get things in here, right? And we can pick what comes first, right? We can either start with jobs first, we can start with housing first, or you can start with businesses first, right? But I'll tell you something. If you start with houses first, you got to give people a reason to live here, and we don't have that yet. So houses aren't the first thing to start with. You think about starting with retail first because people buy stuff, right? Goods and services, right? Except that we don't make enough money to support that, right? What we do have is space and buildings. And so what you do is you bring in the kind of jobs that can be supported in the kind of space that we have. And those kind of jobs are law firms, legal offices, medical clinics, technology co-location centers. And those pay big dollars to the people who work in them. And guess what? We get that tax revenue. And then when you have, it's like Silicon Valley, right? When Google built his building and Facebook, they start building, there was nothing there. But when that first tech center went up, guess what? Everybody started to come. And that's what we got to do, right? It's like, what was that baseball movie? If they build it, if we build it, they will come. Right. We got to build it. But all of the things that go into getting money to fix a street, for instance. I do know that GE, why?
no,
Why?
no. I mean, I would. That's just like taking on a job, and you got to know what the responsibility of the job is and what it is that you need to be doing.
When
No, now we understand you get on the job training, but still, it says like it seems like you should already be and done your homework, knowing like, oh, it's money over here, it's money over here.
how would I see that though?
Well, no, not see it.
How would I? But
When it's just something that should be public information.
right, public information we all have access to, but that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about public information. We're talking about other avenues. We know that they get money now, but we also know it ain't enough. So we need to find other avenues to get more money, to get different money. Now I know that GE wrote a letter to the mayor asking for some things and they ignored them. It wasn't because of the road. You disagree, and I respect that. But yeah, but they wouldn't know that though. They wouldn't know what's going on at that level. And I actually wrote. I saw the letter and I wrote the president of GE. This was back in 21, when I ran the first time. And I told him then, I said, listen, I'm running for mayor, hold on, because I want to work with you to save this company. And so, you know, all the mayor had to do was talk to the people. He went on vacation for a week. And when he came back, the last GE company in there moved out. 2 companies moved out, actually. And so, you know, there.
Say something to you. Then I'm going to have to go because I forgot the promise was coming to my house. I know people who worked at GE. They all complained about the infrastructure and the resources within Cleveland.
Mhm.
And let me also say this to you when we talk about the infrastructure right now that's currently going on. We currently have money for the infrastructure of East Cleveland. That money comes from state highway patrol. That money comes from federal, local. That money comes from the sewer districts. All types of places you can get this money from for this infrastructure. The problem with East Cleveland, and that's why we don't need a mayor who needs a honeymoon and a learning period. And I respect your drive. Let me say that. We need boots on ground day one. We need someone who knows what they're doing. The problem with East Cleveland is when we receive funds, we don't use them.
I've said that. I just said that before you came.
Sit there. So right now we had I had to talk with my director on last week. I was trying to catch up with him today. From HUD alone, we had money that's just sitting there.
I've said all that.
Latif Shabazz, I'm sitting here in line in the town hall meeting, said our money was in a certificate of deposit. And that comes from them once again being uneducated and not knowing. You cannot put funds in a certificate or a deposit. There's no federal funds sitting in a CD for the city of East Cleveland because federal grants are not allowed to go to certificates of deposits. But that's what Latif Shabazz mindset is. And that's why he said they should have put the money for the fire engine in a CD account. You cannot put federal funds because the federal government does not send you a check for $1 million. It's a spend down process. So if you want $1 million to fix the streets in East Cleveland, you're going to contract out. You're going to fix the roadways in East Cleveland, and as that work is done, you're going to draw that money down. You're never.
I understand all that. I understand all that.
So
And that boots on the ground mentality, that's beautiful, but that's unrealistic. You don't walk in day one and start doing stuff. You got a plan. And that's the problem with East Cleveland. They just get in and start doing stuff. Like the first day in office, the dude fired the police chief without having another police chief already hired. That's boots on the ground. But we spent 3 days without a police chief. You don't do stuff. You don't go in and just start doing stuff. Yeah, but I'm not focused on those personalities. That's his relationship, and that's the person he brought in. I don't have to worry about Eric Brewer because when I become mayor, Eric Brewer ain't gonna be there. So I'm not worried about that. And I'm not worried about everybody. Listen, we got to change the way we think and the way we act. Right now, we react. We get in office and we start trying to do stuff because we're trying to appease somebody. That's not how you do it. You do not just go in and start doing stuff. You have to plan it. And you have to understand what your outcomes are. That's the only way you're going to determine whether you were successful or not. So if I, just start doing stuff without understanding what needs to be done, how much it's going to cost, how long it takes, then I'm going to fall flat on my face. If I go in there and look at something today, when I take office on January 1st, it's not going to be the same. So you don't do that. You set your own structure. You don't go in there and start dismantling stuff. You don't go in there and just say, okay, this is the first thing I'm gonna do. Nah. You gotta understand the impact of the things that you do.
You have to have a competence.
Exactly. And the things you do have to be thoughtful. And you have to understand, again, what you expect your outcomes to be, because that's the only way you can determine success or failure. So I get a lot of people, with all due respect, I get a lot of people saying that kind of thing to me. I reject it. It's like the other man that said, you find a way to fix my street, and you got my vote. I couldn't tell you that. I can't tell you that I can find a way to fix your street right now. I'd be lying to you if I did. So if I lose that vote, so be it.
I would be thinking that you would be studying. It's just like before I opened up another location. I did a lot of research, studying, being a SWOT analysis, need analysis, all these type of things. I'm just thinking like I would be doing like research like where is
Okay, so what you want to, so I've done a retail study. All right. I went to Baltimore to visit the area where they shot the wire because they redeveloped that area. And I met with the people to see how they did it, where their money came from. See, so what you guys think I should be doing, that's fine. But because I'm not doing what you should think I should be doing, doesn't mean I'm not doing something. No, I'm not. No, I'm not speaking to you.
You're not doing nothing. What I'm just like we know that we're looking for grant money, that for seed money, get going and this and that.
Mhm.
So I guess my thing was like doing your homework to figure out like step one, because I know we seen that them this money over there, but I'm gonna go over there and get it. Or I know like me and Tab have plenty of talks, so she worked with her like and been in communication with her director about some stuff. So it's money over here that East Cleveland then tap into or this, that, and the other.
East Cleveland, well, I know she said they don't give $1 million checks, but they do. East Cleveland gets $1 million check every year of all their HUD money in one lump sum. You don't spend up on HUD money in East Cleveland. You don't spend down, I'm sorry, thank you. You don't spend down on HUD money in East Cleveland. They get it in one lump. And then the city determines how to spend it. So you know, I get all of that, and I appreciate everybody's passion. That's what we need. But you got to be thoughtful. Right? You got to be thoughtful. Can't rush to anything because the decisions that we make are going to impact us for a long time. And so we got to make smart decisions and knowledgeable decisions. And we can't be reactionary. And the last thing that I should do is try to do something to appease some person or some group of people. If it's not in the best interest of the community as a whole, then it's not for the community. And it's as simple as that. And so I'll make enemies and people won't like me, but they're not going to like me because I'm not doing the right thing or because I'm doing bad things. They may not like me because I didn't give them what they asked for or did what they wanted me to do. But I can live with that. I can live with that. So, you know, I'm going to take the beginning of my term and I'm going to be doing stuff. But I'm going to be planning stuff too. There's low hanging fruit, I'm sure. There's some things that can be addressed right now that can make an impact. The things that are really going to change our fortunes, you have to be studied. I'm bringing people in to study. Experts, city planners, you know, people who do this stuff for a living. And they're going to tell me where you get the money from. I'm not smart enough to know all the places that money exists, but there are a lot of people out here that are. I am smart enough to bring those people in my circles.
Well, I guess that's the part. You only got a little bit of time. So, I mean, I guess you already spoke with them. Said how about it? Yes.
I've been speaking to them since 21 when I ran the first time.
So, yeah, because you only got a little bit of time once you get in there. So, you want to be having these people on your guts, you know,
Right. Okay, I get what you're saying. Believe me, my people are ready.
Yeah.
And they're experts in their field. Right. So to that point, yes, he's absolutely right. I've spent the last 4 years preparing for this year. And I have a team. And I know where I'm going to bring some people. But again, the people that are already there, they're workers. They're doing what they were told to do. They don't have anything to fear as long as they're competent and they do their jobs well. If they don't, you know, then we'll train them. And if they still can't, you gotta let them go.
Now, you said that you already got your team. When I try to point something out to you, need people in every single community be part of your group that's loyal to you, behind you, to work in that community and make sure it works. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm a I love service. I would love to serve. Okay? You throw your vision and we get behind you. But I'm saying you're gonna have to have somebody in every ward, in every community to make this. And then the biggest thing in East Cleveland, I'm tired of all these negative YouTube videotapes about East Cleveland being the worst I've been in places a whole lot worse than East Cleveland. Just riding around because I did retailing in Philadelphia. And our city is way above
But you know what?
places out there.
You know what the worst part of that whole scenario is? Is that we repost it. I'm gonna post it. When we share in that thought, when we I'm gonna post it. When we share in that thought,
How you videoing right now? We gotta put out
because I want people to see this.
positive content.
And I'll go a little further. I don't want a person or a couple people in every ward. I want every ward to support me. Because again, it's about what you want. Like what you want on your street is not going to be what somebody else wants on their street. And so we need community organization. That's what I'm saying. But we need to do it the right way. We need to form an organization. We need to form a nonprofit, and we need to go after money. This is what I'm saying. The community doesn't have to wait for the government. The community can go after things on its own. The community can organize. The community can write grants. And if anybody writes a grant, these grant writers do ask for this, and they ask, do you have any support with your local government? I will write a 20-page letter for each and every one of you to make sure you get the money that you want, as long as you're going to do the right thing with it, and as long as it benefits East Cleveland.
And I think that's one of the things that's wrong too. Everybody's waiting for the government to do something and pass something, instead of us as a community, as a street, as a neighborhood, or as a team doing it for ourselves. That's our downfall.
I applied for a $350,000 grant to expand and renovate the farmers markets. I'm still waiting on the decision. But I did that as a nonprofit, not as a government entity. I did that on my own. I spent 2 weeks writing that grant. And I submitted it. It got through the first round. It's in the final round now. And I just got an email today that said they changed some of the parameters, so now I might have to write some more to it. But the point is, it can be done. It can be done.
I want to talk to you about that, please.
And I can show you all how to do it. I can show you who's giving money. I can show you how to organize. I'm also a SCORE mentor. I do business mentoring for SCORE. I know what I'm talking about. I'm not just sitting up here telling you stuff. I have not said in this whole time we've been talking, vote for me. That's not what I'm out here for. I'm out here to talk to you. And if you read my shirt, you see the vote for me part already, so I have to say. but that's not what it's about, right? And I can't be thin-skinned. And I know I'm gonna get criticized, and I'm not gonna make everybody happy, because some people are gonna think that things should go a certain way. And if I fail, I'll say, I failed. Should have went another way, and then I'm gonna go another way. And if I failed and your way was better, I'm gonna say, I failed. Should listen to you. But I'm not gonna second guess myself from the beginning, because now I'm ineffective. Right? And I'm gonna tell you, I'm good at what I do. All right, I'm a project manager and I'm good at it. I have a 30-year career. So somebody thinks I'm good at it. And I manage millions of dollars of other people's money. And I ain't never been arrested. I ain't never been investigated for no fiscal crimes or anything like that. I'm not gonna steal your money. I've been poor 60 years now. It's too late to change it. So, you ain't gotta worry about me stealing. I wouldn't know what to do with it. But seriously though, I do want to be your mayor, because I do want to take us in a different direction. And I want you to come with me. I don't want you to we got 11,000 registered voters, eligible registered voters in East Cleveland. 11,000. We do not get over 3,000 people voting in an election.
I don't even vote.
I want those 8,000. I don't just want my share of the 3,000. I want the 8,000. That's why I'm coming out here. Because I want people to see me. That's why I'm posting all this stuff online. That's why I post on social media all the time. Even if it's not an East Cleveland resident, maybe they got a cousin in East Cleveland or their parents still live in East Cleveland. I want people to embrace the city like we embraced the city when I was growing up in. You talking about the police? Okay, last story, real quick. I grew up on Beersford, right across the street from the police station, and so I saw it all. So if we were late to school, the police would pick us up and take us to school, and take us to Mr. Donuts first before we went to school. There was this one white cop. His name was Detective Colsix, but we couldn't say Colsix, so we called him Kojak. But he answered to us. He answered to us. But at the same time, I also saw them bringing young black brothers, snatching them out the car and beating them in the parking lots. And I would see the white officers beating the brother. And I remember this one time, it was like 3 white officers. They were kicking this dude's butt, right? Literally kicking him, right? And then these 2 brothers came out, because you know that back door in the factory where the police come out? They came out the door, saw what's going on. Each of them went over there, kicked the dude once, and then went on about their business. So they did that same stuff, right? You know, this stuff that they're doing now, it isn't new. I got a friend, he called the police a pig, and they chased him, and they cornered him on the 2nd floor of his apartment building, right? He was a light-skinned cat, right? He came out, his complexion was purple. So, I'm not naive. I know what's up. But somebody made the point earlier though. But I tell you what, nobody came through the city with a headlight out. Right? You didn't steal. You didn't fight. You didn't do nothing but pass through if you knew better. And we can get that again, right? But it's going to take full participation. It can't be about everybody watching government. The government has an obligation to you, and I promise you I'll fulfill that obligation. But if you think I can do it alone, then you're going to be disappointed, because I can't. I need you, not just my team, because my team needs to expand to you all, right? And I need your suggestions. He's a businessman. I want to know what he thinks, right? The lady that was right, government funding. I want to know what she thinks. The brother here has been telling me what he thinks. But that's how I learn. That's how I learn. So again, I want to thank you all.
Let's go to dinner.
Huh?
I don't have to go to dinner.
Okay.
We need to go to dinner. We need to go.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate your time and your attention. And I hope that you'll vote for me on September 9th. Thank you.
By the way, I'm
Okay,
impressed.